Welcome to the Morning Report, a production of fightbackmedia.com, the #1 source of urban conservative information in America.
Well, good morning, and welcome to the Morning Report. My name is Willie Lawson. The Morning Report is a production of fightbackmedia.com, 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 and fightbackmediatv.com. Hope that you are well this Thursday morning. We have been on a rant this week about introducing you to the vice presidential pick, shouldn't even be done that way, of Kamala Harris, Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota. And today is going to be no different. Today, we like to officially welcome to the race Tim Walz. Let's make sure America knows who you are. You helped ignite the George Floyd riots, the worst the country has seen in decades. While Minneapolis burned, you stalled in deploying the National Guard for an entire day, blaming the city for not submitting the right paperwork. You let your daughter leak the Guard's deployment plans online so that the rioters would know how long they had to loot the city with impunity. Minneapolis is a war zone because of you. Just days after the attempted murder of Donald Trump, you called him and his supporters fascists, egging on the same rhetoric that led to him being shot in the first place. You have overseen some of the most radical youth trans surgery laws in the country. Under your leadership, teenagers can get their breasts chopped off and get sterilized, and your government calls it healthcare. You have the most radical abortion laws in the country. 0 limits. Every year, five or six babies are actually born alive. And then they are murdered legally on the laws you support. On immigration, you famously said that you wanted to provide a, quote, ladder, and we're going to show that video here today, so invaders can come over Trump's wall. You are a radical, open border zealot. You oversaw the single worst fraud in the COVID era, the Feeding Our Future case. Thanks to the ineptitude of your Department of Education, criminals stole $250 million of taxpayer money and spent it on luxury houses, cars, and vacations. Also, during COVID, you approved a $500 million in hero pay for frontline workers. Sounds like a good thing, right? Only to have about 40% of that money go to people who are ineligible, or in many cases, they were dead. In the House, you were Pelosi's sidekick and did whatever the Democrats demanded. You will try to disguise yourself as a folksy Midwestern moderate. In reality, you are a white male version of Kamala Harris. Radical, inept, and undeserving to be in leadership. That's who you are. And because a lot of people don't know who this dude is, and maybe at some point he portrayed himself as this folksy Midwestern, moderate, anything but. And this is why this week we really want to introduce you to Tim Walz and who he is and what he's about. Watch some of this stuff right here.
And I think seeing a plan that's out there, talking about it with folks, knowing that he's not going to do anything. He talks about this wall. I always say, let me know how high it is. If it's 25 feet, then I'll invest in the 30-foot ladder factory. That's not how you stop this. I've just signed Executive Order 20-01, declaring a peacetime state of emergency for the state of Minnesota. We need to stop congregating. We're going to close the bars, we're going to close the restaurants, we're going to close the places where we gather. Several 100,000 of your neighbors were just laid off. An entire industry has been shut down in the face of this, all for the greater good.
The governor, with the power of the state constitution behind him, has issued 104 executive orders affecting everything from schools to restaurants and bars to churches to basically every facet of everyday life.
Democrats who control the House are moving in the opposite direction. Some are pushing to put a mask mandate in state law.
Hi ho, the Dario, I wear a mask to school. It helps to keep me safe.
Explosive testimony from a Minneapolis police union official who says that the governor ordered cops to abandon that 3rd precinct during the spring's rioting.
I was in the command post. I heard it. I heard the governor say, give it up.
At 9:32, Chief Arredondo calls the mayor to tell him they've lost control, can no longer maintain order in the city. And then at 10:13, Chief Arredondo, who's monitoring the scene from a couple blocks away, gets on the radio to announce defeat.
Get a citywide tone right now in our loss of the 3rd precinct.
The 3rd precinct has been compromised.
So does anything that you've seen and you've heard in this video thus far lead to the folksy Midwestern sort of, get along and family oriented and have you seen any of that? To compare and contrast, when Minnesota was closing their businesses and closing their schools, Florida, on the other hand, was keeping their businesses open, keeping their schools open. There was no state mandates for mask wearing, let alone any thought of putting a mask mandate in the freaking Constitution of the state. And when you compare and contrast, you got to say that Florida did better during that time than Minnesota. You got to say that because it's the truth. Florida did better and recovered faster than Minnesota, and now even now is reaping the benefits in people moving here because of that. The population in Florida has exploded because of how our state was handled in a crisis, because of the level of leadership in Florida versus Tim Walz's, whatever you want to call that, in Minnesota. That's important. It's important that people understand who this guy is. I'm a big fan of governors running for president and vice president because we can see what they've done, especially we can see what they've done under crisis. How does the Florida governor, and I'm not just talking about Ron DeSantis, but in general, how does the Florida governor handle what we just went through a number of days ago? Only a tropical storm, and for tropical storms, Floridians are like rain with a name. So for a lot of us, sorry to get us out of bed for anything less than a Cat 3 hurricane, but that's Florida. But how do they handle those crises? What things go into motion? How organized are their administrations? How organized are they? How reassuring they are? How do they not panic, right? So we can see that level of leadership in almost every one of our governors since I've been alive here in Florida. So we can see that. And so when COVID came around, COVID wasn't hurricane, and they kept trying to tell us that in Florida. COVID's not a hurricane, but being able to organize in a crisis is the same, almost regardless of what the crisis is. So we saw tremendous leadership here, where you saw what you saw, what we just played a little bit for you in Minnesota. That's what you saw there. That's who this dude is. Do not be fooled by the PR. The media is using words like he's cuddly. Cuddly? What the heck? What is that? How do you decide that you're going to vote for somebody because they're cuddly? Panda bears are cuddly too, and awful. Koala bears are cuddly, and they stink, and you can get chlamydia from them. And they've got a nasty disposition, but they're cuddly. Stop it. We must not, under any circumstances, let this narrative of this dude get out that he's anything other than what he actually is. Now, I got a comment on the last video, and I appreciate that. But now, what's important is that I'm telling you to take these videos and videos like them, because they're all over the place, and share them. I'm deputizing you. I need you to do a few things for me. I need you to like, share, comment these videos and videos like these, so people understand who this dude is, because he is not what the Democrat Party is portraying. He is not, any more so than Kamala Harris has ever cooked a pot of collard greens in her life. Let alone wash them all in the bathtub. It is absolutely insane. Hey, time to watch some more.
What could be weirder than signing a bill into law that requires schools to stock tampons in boys' bathrooms? Or weirder than signing legislation allowing minors to receive sex change operations? Try electing the man who signed those bills Vice President of the United States. Enter Chief Weirdo Tim Walz. As governor of Minnesota, Walz supported legislation that endangers minors, hurts women, and puts radical ideology ahead of common sense. Now Kamala wants Walz to enforce those laws on a national scale. Tim Walz, too weird, too radical.
Okay, before we get out of here, this clip, and I know that the mainstream media would try their best to memory hold some of this stuff. Some of the things that they allowed to happen in Minnesota, and you just saw the clip where they gave up a third precinct. It wasn't just the police stations. There was a lot of stuff going on, and a lot of really just regular folks. The same folks that Democrats want to vote for them, who are saying that somehow bad orange man is going to put them back in chains, Joe Biden, right? That nonsense, were hurt by Tim Walz's lack of action. Check this little clip out.
How was last night?
Scary. I live in the high rise right back here, and I seen them as they came down Lake Street. But then they turned and started coming over here, and I'm sitting out looking out my window. And they went straight to Office Max, the dollar store, and every store over here that I go to. I have nowhere to go now. I have no way to get there because the buses aren't running. These people did this for no reason. It's not going to bring George back here. George is in a better place than we are. And last night, I'm going to be honest, I wish I was where George was, because this is ridiculous. These people are tearing up our livelihood. This is the only place I could go to shop. And now I don't have anywhere to go. I don't have anywhere to get there.
I know you mentioned, being in your home last night, and you did have some folks that were helping, holding the ground. And you see some cleanup right now as well. There are signs of hope, but I can see the frustration still.
When the National Guard came down 31st and they realized that they were coming down 31st, they tried to run in the building where I live at. And they couldn't get in because there was security there, and I'm glad they were there. Because if they had got in that building, there's no telling where they would have hid to stay safe and try to mess with us inside the building because we're handicapped. And I'm not trying to use handicap as a crutch, but there are certain things I can and cannot do. And for them to do what they did last night was just stupid. It was ignorant. Now what are you going to do? Where are you going to shop at? Half the people probably don't even live in Minnesota. They don't care.
Stephanie, thank you so much. And I hope you find...
So it's time that, again, that I'm deputizing you, that you like this video, that you comment on this video, that you share this video with your friends. And maybe people who will say, oh, I don't know much about the guy. Well, it's time to learn about the guy, because you're not going to learn about him watching CNN. You're not going to learn about him watching MSNBC. Hell, you're not going to really learn about the guy watching Fox News. You're not. You're only going to learn about this guy from a couple of sources. Now, the monologue that I read earlier, I want to make sure that I give credit for. That was a piece written by that I got from grassfire.com. And I think that it's important that we know where where all this stuff comes from, and that we're not out there by ourselves. And give me a second as I look, there it is. There you go. It was written by Charlie Kirk. And the idea is that I decided that I would share this tweet, and I got it from the folks at grassfire.com. I worked for grassfire.com a number of years ago, and the relationship ended, the job ended or whatever. But I still get their emails, and I think that you should too. And it's grassfire.com. And right now they're offering a special offer: help Grassfire and receive the Trump 2024 flag for any amount. Any amount. Any amount. And it also helps it helps in their work. And they do great work, and they're good, and they're good dudes there and good girls there that are doing God's work there. So again, grassfire.com. You can check them out, and you too can get get daily emails that will help you figure some of this stuff out and get information that you're not going to get anywhere else. All right, we got to get out of here and make room for somebody else. So until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself. We will see you when we see you. Bye-bye now.
But we can get out there, reach out, make the case. And for one thing, don't ever shy away from our progressive values. One person's socialism is another person's neighborliness.